I'm Brian Bender, and let's queer up the worldview. Canada asylum reform sparks deportation fears among LGBTQ+ refugee claimants. The reform, known as Bill C-12, bars people from making refugee claims if more than 1 year has passed since their first entry into Canada. The law applies retroactively to June 24, 2020, and affects claims filed on or after June 3, 2025. Advocates estimate nearly 30,000 asylum seekers have received procedural fairness letters warning their claims may no longer qualify for review. Immigration officials say the letters are not deportation notices, but rather requests for additional information before decisions are made. Lawyers and refugee advocates argue the law disproportionately impacts 2S LGBTQ+ people, survivors of domestic violence, and others whose circumstances have changed after arriving in Canada. Many claimants initially enter the country on student or work visas and later realize returning home could put them at risk because of their sexual orientation or gender identity. One Pakistani claimant, identified only as Ahmed, told CBC he fears returning home after experiencing violence and threats related to his sexuality. Same-sex relations remain criminalized in Pakistan, where human rights organizations have documented discrimination and violence against queer people. Under the previous system, refugee claimants typically received in-person hearings before the Immigration and Refugee Board. Under the new law, many may instead face a paper-based pre-removal risk assessment with limited appeal options. Advocacy groups are calling on the Canadian government to create exemptions for vulnerable claimants, including LGBTQ+ asylum seekers, but no such exemptions have been announced so far. It is such a difficult time we are living in.
Absolutely.
I think that there is a lot going on. I know that maybe it doesn't seem related, but there's a lot going on in Europe in terms of the right wing, in terms of feeling like their countries are being, and I say this in quotes, quote unquote, being invaded by people from the Indian subcontinent, Pakistan, from I'm going to just say it here because I think this is what they're hinting at, is they feel as though that there's a lot of Muslim people or people that practice Islam entering into the country. Mm-hmm. And I think that this might be a way for them, although very ill-advised, because I think if you're an LGBTQ+ person, you should be protected no matter what. But I think this is a way of maybe preventing people that would abuse the system or who they think might abuse the system from gaining a foothold in Canadian society.
People who might be falsely portraying themselves
perhaps
as part of the Two-Spirit people, LGBTQ+ community.
I would think so. I mean, that's just my read on it. I don't have any documents to go by, but I know the larger trend of what's, you have people like Tommy Robinson in the UK. You have people, that, in our country here, we have the thing where they say, like, Jews will not replace us. But, in Europe, it's Muslims will not replace us. So there's a lot of finger wagging and a lot of knee-jerk reactions.
A lot of things like that floating around on social media.
Exactly. And I think, maybe the Canadian government, I don't think that they're a hateful people. I think they're actually quite peaceful. I think maybe they have to show their constituencies that they're being a bit tougher on immigration. And I'm only sorry that I'm so sorry, because, they say sorry all the time.
Yes.
I'm so sorry that it has to come down on LGBTQ+ people, that they have to bear the brunt of that. Because I don't think Canada is inherently hateful toward gay people.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So,
I had the opportunity many years ago to travel there, doing some nurse recruiting for a former organization I worked for, and had, the best time up in Toronto.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. So anyway, only time will tell. That's just my little conspiracy theory of why I think they might be doing it. So we'll see. And I just feel very terrible for the LGBTQ+ people that are going to suffer because, going home to a country where the laws don't protect you, you have no rights within your home, to be who you are. It's terrible. And
we'll hopefully see that, that we catch up with maybe they seem a little more progressive, at least in the way they pursue this and notification than what we've seen here with ICE and that whole thing going on.
Yeah.
Well, there is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.